I bet many people don't know, but CrossFit is connected with nutrition. You can't have one without the other. But not all the time we find ourselves eating the proper food. So today's 15-minute AMRAP is: what should I eat before and after the training so I feel good and recovered?
Many people know that nutrition is connected to to CrossFit. They're just in denial about it. That's all. So yeah.
I think I heard multiple times, I train to eat. I train to eat.
Yeah, sure.
That is
the only thing that I can tell people that have that mindset is then you would just, if you're okay with that, you will just stay the same as you are. It's okay for me, but if you have any body composition goals, you can't train to eat. I'm just telling you. And if you have any performance goals, you're gonna also have to think a little bit on, and that's what we will talk also today about, on how can I fuel myself to feel good in training? How can I fuel myself to feel energetic and to perform better in class? And then also the food is gonna help you. What can I do with my food after training so it will help me recover more? So food, it's an important part of the total picture, and usually also the hardest part. We're not gonna talk today about food in general, just about food before and after training, just to be clear about that. So I'm gonna try to make a small differentiation between small tweaks I would make if you're eating before or after training, if you're eating for performance, or if you're eating for body composition, if you're now that we're in winter, that you're already getting ready for summer abs, because this is exactly the moment where you should do it. We're 4 or 5 months out from swimming pool season, so now is the moment to start thinking. Don't come to me in May asking what can I do in the next 6 weeks to be ready. Now, February. Simply said, food around training has 2 jobs: fuel you, give you energy for the workout, and help you recover after, when the meal after, help you recover for the next training. So that's the main thing. Why people struggle with this is, or they eat too little, which is most of the time they eat too little. They don't fuel their workouts, and then they come in with low energy and potentially bad recovery from the last workout, because if you eat little overall, then it's very hard for your body to repair the micro damages you did in your muscles and before the next workout, and you're still in more muscle pain than you should, or to help you just regain your energy and calm down your nervous system. Food all helps with this. This is all part of recovery. Of course, sleep and all that stuff also, but food, it's important. Or you have people that they eat wrong before their workout. They eat wrong stuff, and then when they're in training, sometimes the stomach is upset. So they didn't really think about it. Mm-hmm. Like to eat something that digests fast, or they eat too close to the workout, or they didn't do trial and error enough to figure it out what works for them, because it's not necessarily. I'm going to give you some examples today, mainly of things that I do and things that are generally known, but it doesn't mean that every of the examples of what to eat before and after is going to, especially the one before, is going to work for you. It's going to also be an amount of trial. I also talk a little bit about when to eat, what to eat and when to eat. But for example, what works for me is eat the normal meal 4 hours before the training, and then about 60 to 90 minutes eat a smaller meal or snack that's fast digesting. That's what works for me. But maybe you need more than 90 minutes. You're going to have to try it out. So maybe it's 2 hours for you. Maybe a normal meal needs to be 6 hours before, then that snack, and then going to training. The main thing is you don't want to have a very heavy meal before you go to training, because you're going to feel it in the workout. You might feel a little bit sluggish, or you might have some stomach issues. And what will be the main driver of fueling yourself for your workouts? It's the devil, carbs. Because if I speak about carbs to many people, their face already turns and they think, isn't carbs going to make me fat? Especially also the people that are training to lose weight, they're very afraid of carbs. Carbs is the main driver of of your workouts. This is what fuels your workout. It will not make you fat if you eat it in the right moment and in the right quantities. I can go higher carb before my workout and stay lower carb for the rest of the day and feel good in my training. If I'm gonna walk into my trainings underfueled, I'm not gonna get the most bang for my buck out of the trainings. I'm not gonna be able to recover as much in between my trainings, which is not only gonna be a physical toll, but also a mental toll. If you're always feeling fucked up because you don't recover between your trainings, you don't want to come back to training. If you don't come back to training, you can't get fit because you don't have regularity. So it's a snowball effect. So keep it in mind. It's more important than you think. When used right, the carbs will just give you energy and will help you perform in the training. Next to the carbs, you will also need the protein because it will help you restore your muscles and also help you when they restore, the micro damages get restored. The body will put a little layer on top. It will make your muscle a bit stronger and potentially a bit bigger. And eat low in fat and fiber, not in general, but before the workout, because if you're gonna eat too high in fat and fiber, it might hit your stomach bad. It will not digest, and then you're gonna feel nauseous or low energy in the workout. So I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not saying you should be low fat, low fiber overall. I'm just saying be careful with it before the workout. That 60 to 90 minute window, if you choose a snack there, be careful with it, keep in consideration. If you feel your stomach during the training, it might be too high in fat or fiber. Maybe not a good idea to eat an omelette an hour before your workout and with the yolks in, just or avocado toast or something. I'm just saying. The avocado, the fat is the problem, not the toast.
If you don't want to see it back again.
Yeah, or you don't see it back, you taste it. I sometimes have that, but that's not because I ate wrong, but because the intensity was so high, because I pushed so hard that I tasted my lunch from 6 hours before. Mm-hmm. So, but you might get to that point. If you do an hour before something fatty, you might taste it again. So some simple things that I eat before a workout that works for me: some rice and chicken. It's low in fat. The rice is the carbs, the chicken is the protein. Some toast with jam. It's all carbs there. So oatmeal with jam, with fruit, maybe a little bit of whey protein in there, a banana with yogurt, rice cakes with honey. So these are all examples of things that are easy to grab before you go to the training, and then they're going to give you the energy needed for the training. I'm not going to go in detail too much on how much, because it depends. It depends on how much you weigh, how much body fat you have. We can calculate that for you if needed. So just need to ask me. I will help you out to be more specific. But just for the sake of not making this too long, I'm not going to go in detail. So just so you know, these are some examples of things that you could eat as a snack 60 to 90 minutes before that will fuel your training. And what also works well is a cup of orange juice or apple juice. Carbs, it's carbs. What to eat after the training? So training food. The food after the training is just to help you recover for the damage that you did, and to help you just regain also a bit your energy back. In this meal, we're going to need protein to repair the muscle, carbs to refill the sugars that you burned so you get your energy back, because that's why you feel like low energy after training. You burned all your glycogen, all your carbs. So imagine if you go into the training without fuel, you're going to get that feeling, not before training, and not after training, but in the middle of training. That's what we want to avoid. You sweated a lot, so part of recovery is making sure you're hydrated overall. Was the general rule. I don't always reach it either, but 2 to 3 liters of water a day, something like that. But make sure that after training you get enough fluids in, or a half a liter of water, and in your food, or in, if you prefer, with what are those steps? The electrolytes, some salts to help you rehydrate. It's good for your joints. It's good for your recovery in general, and for your muscles. So make sure you're recovered by drinking. And when you do it, ideally, the ideal scenario is 1 to 2 hours after training. That's the ideal scenario. But as always, it's not about being perfect. It's not always perfect. If you're in what I do just sometimes to be covered, if I think I'm not going to make it, to be able to eat 1 to 2 hours after, I make sure I have a banana in my bag and a bottle of chocolate milk. It's the easiest way to get some carbs and some protein in that chocolate milk of Muller, for example. It's like 23 grams of protein, or if you take that, or 26, or if you take that Zuzu Greek yogurt, drinkable one, it's also like 26. So if you combine that with the banana, you have some carbs in and you have some protein in, it can cover you then until you reach the meal that maybe it's not in 1 to 2 hours, but maybe it's in 3 to 4 hours for whatever reason. So sometimes that's also the reason I, after the gym fast, drop into the Mega Image behind the corner, because I wasn't prepared just to buy that banana and that chocolate milk just to carry me on. So I can already help my body recover and get a little bit back of my energy that I lost in the training. So don't try to be perfect, but have a plan like the one I just described you, in case the perfect scenario isn't there and you cannot get home and eat within 1 to 2 hours. But if you can, what should I eat over there? It's simple. Simply set rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, pasta, so that carb source. Don't avoid the carbs. The meal after it will help you recover. And then any protein source. Can be anything. I know people are gonna say, yeah, what's the leanest and this and that. Yeah, if you want to be lean, it's gonna be chicken and it's gonna be, but over time, also experimenting on myself, but also just seeing people's general problem is that they need to change behaviors. So you're already having issues with the big picture. Don't lose yourself in the details. Just take any kind of fish. Take one time pork, take one time turkey, take one time chicken, eat a steak. Just put variety in it. As long as you're not too much into one thing, I think you're going to be fine. If then, over time, you come to the point that you're saying to me, okay, I'm eating pretty balanced, so I'm eating after my training, the carb source, the starchy carbs, rice, potatoes, pasta, and I'm eating a good source of protein, and I'm eating it 1.6 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, so I'm getting enough protein in. And then next to it, I put some vegetables or some fruit. So I'm good overall. If then at that point you're saying I'm 15% body fat and I want to get to 10, we can talk about details. And then we can talk about, you eat a bit too much pork, you eat a bit too much greasy meat, you eat, maybe let's tweak this or that. But until then, just think general. Get a protein source in it. If you're vegetarian or vegan, I'm not such an expert in that, pick a protein source. You know the protein sources better than me, and eat them in enough quantity so you reach 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram over an entire day, not just in that meal. So then a couple of tweaks. I will try to make this one short. So if it's a weightlifting only day, you're not gonna have to get carbs in the same way like you're gonna preparing for a marathon. So you can go in the meal before, medium amount of protein, medium amount of carbs, because you will not be burning so much energy there. You know how only weightlifting feels. It's intense for 1 to 2 reps, and then it's a long rest. So you're not burning so much calories, you're not burning so much energy. So you also don't need to fuel as if you will. So tone it down. On the other opposite is then it's gonna be a 40-minute endurance class. Get in enough carbs, much more carbs than what you would pick on a weightlifting only session. You're gonna be sweating a lot. You're gonna be burning through more sugar. You're gonna be more exhausted. So higher quantity of carbs and higher quantity of protein there than for a weightlifting only session. And then for a combo, you're going to have to be somewhere in the middle. Again, for exact measurements, you're going to have an exact example. But just think high cardio, more carbs and protein, low cardio or zero cardio, like lifting only, keep it on the medium side. So you won't need that much. You need to fuel yourself according to the activity that you're going to do. To have fat loss, you need to be in a caloric deficit, but your protein needs to be high. This is where most people go wrong. They're just in a caloric deficit. They're just eating little, but their protein is low. If you want to burn fat and change body composition, in a slight caloric deficit, but make sure your protein is high. So still that 1.6 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight over the entire day, spread over, 2 or 3 meals or 2 meals and a couple of snacks, depending on. So if you're only going to be in a caloric deficit and your protein is going to be low, you're just going to shrink and you're going to become the square you are now into a smaller square, not into a whatever shape you're trying to create. So keep that in mind. So don't think the carbs are the devil. How do I work with this? Eat the carbs just around the workouts, in that snack before the workout and in that meal after the workout. That's where you put your carbs. Eat enough carbs there. In all other snacks and meals that day, low carbs or no carbs. And then we balance it out, measured to make sure that you have enough calories or not too much calories, so you're still in that deficit, and making sure that you have enough protein. That's how you think of your meals. Put the carbs around the workout. I can still be my fat loss goal, but my workouts are fueled. I'm going to be energetic enough for my workouts. So put your meals in a way that fits your goals. And that's always going to be dependent on when you're going to talk about goals. We're going to, okay, what's the goal? Do you need to gain weight? Do you need to lose weight? So the meals will always depend on that. But whatever your goal is, you need to fuel your workouts. So the meals around the workouts, they need carbs and they need protein. How much? It depends again. What do you do on rest days? Recovery happens on rest days, so we're going to need protein. So no change there. That stays exactly the same. 1.62 grams. So your muscle can repair. It's good for tendon health. Helps your hormones. They're all dependent on your protein intake. But rest days are recovery days. They're not low protein days. So keep that in mind. You still need to be up in the protein. We're still trying to recover. Hence the word rest day or recovery day between the trainings. The carbs, yes, we're going to do carbs. But not the training carbs quantities. You're not training, so you don't need to have glycogen stores full. You're not preparing for intense activity today, but you still want to support recovery. So because carbs is not only to fuel your workouts, it's also to help you recover. That's why we also eat them after the training. So I would say, as a general rule, about 20 to 30% less carbs than on your training days. So example would be an average guy of around 80 kilograms. He would have on his training days 320 to 400 grams of carbs, and then on his rest day that would come down to 160 to 40 grams of carbs. So when Laura is going to hear me talk about exact numbers, she's going to roll her eyes because and as she should, she guides people in change of habits without, in the beginning, talking too much in detail. That's why I said also in the beginning, think about big picture. Don't get lost into the details. Fix the big picture first before we start going into the details and we start weighing stuff. You can get 80% of the way just changing habits and following big picture. If we ever come to that point that you want to be 10% body fat after you already dropped to 15, 16, following the big picture, we shall talk details. But until then, don't worry too much about it. So, general idea on rest days, don't eat the same. Because I know we're creatures of habit. Every day I eat 4 eggs and a toast and a this and a that. No matter if it's a rest day or a workout day, if you want to be conscious of body composition and fueling your workouts, you also need to be conscious that rest days require less energy, so they also require less carbs. So don't try to diet harder on rest days, because that will just make the next training worse and you won't be as recovered till then. So to sum it up, on rest days, protein stays high, carbs come down a bit, so 20-30%, and the fats come up slightly. And the reason for that is if I need to hit a certain amount of calories, that stays the same, whatever goal I have. If because of the rest day, I'm going to eat less carbs because I don't need them, to get to that same amount of calories, I'm going to have to up something. The calories are going to have to come from something. If I cut my carbs by 20-30%, I'm going to have to play around with my protein and my fats. So eventually, altogether, I get again to whatever, 2,000 calories or 3,000, whatever it is for you. So if carbs come down, something else is going to have to come up a bit. Otherwise, you're going to create yourself a deficit. And to create changes for performance or for weight, fat loss, you need to stay stable with your calories from day to day, not have ups and downs. So we can drop the carbs, but we try to keep the calories the same. 22 minutes in, okay, we'll wrap it up. So what I want you to remember for today, match your food with your training, match your food with your training goal. Carbs are fuel, they're not the enemy if you use them right. Timing matters, quantities matter. The protein is there to support the recovery, but also the carbs are there to support the recovery. That's why we eat them also after the training. Eat them on training days and eat them on the rest days, but with some minor tweaks. Fueling yourself is part of training, so give it some thought. The next time you plan your training, try to also have a thought about what am I gonna do with my food. At least make sure you come into training fueled for the training. That's the minimum of the minimum. But the big picture is eat the right stuff also after training so it can help you recover, so you can come back energized the next one.
Nice. This was very useful. We can wrap it up here. Please rate the show wherever you listen to your podcast and share this with a friend, as always. Until next time, keep on moving.